And welcome everybody to YouTube as we start another edition of Off the Hook Overtime. Kyle, did you make it okay?
I am here, and I am okay.
All right, good. Rob, Gila, you making the Skype land?
We have made it, yes.
And can you verify that we are in fact on YouTube?
We
We
can
are.
verify that we're on YouTube, not least because I forgot to mute the computer until right now, so you may have just heard us
I did.
come through the microphone. So sorry about that, guys. Hello to everyone out there in the YouTube chat. We are keeping an eye on all of you.
And
Hey,
So
gang.
behave.
and just so folks know, I am not watching the chat because otherwise I would get distracted and you hear long periods. I'm sorry, long periods of silence. Well, no, while I'm looking at what somebody just said. Yeah, and no, I'm not going to do that. I will not play that game. Won't do it. I might
So
look. I
I-
might look later, but I'm not looking now. But we do have a moderator. I don't know if the moderator wants to identify themselves or if we want to keep
Oh,
it secret.
I'm happy to identify myself. I am moderating away. So, folks in the chat, yes, we are here. If anybody's got a question to share with us, and dude, you're not supposed to rat me out like that. But if anybody's got a question for the panel, and especially if the phone lines are busy, do feel free to pop it in the chat. Ideally, we'll be able to maintain a conversation between the folks on the panel and the folks in the chat and potentially anybody on the phone. So this is the plan.
All right, so let's figure out how this can be used advantageously. So we have a phone number, 802-321-4225, 802-321-HACK, that people can call in and be on the air. We also have this chat mechanism. I believe the phone's already ringing. Is there a particular desired way people should use the chat mechanism in conjunction with the telephone? Or maybe if you're shy, you want to ask a question in the chat and not call us? Or maybe... because Rebel's taking all the time on the phone, we have to get questions a different way. I don't know. Any suggestions are welcome, I suppose.
Yeah, this is still a pretty new technology not a new technology, but this
For
is
us,
a new.
it is. Yeah.
Yes, it's a new mechanism for us. We're excited. Just as a reminder, yes, indeed, phone line singular, Tim. That is why we are trying to ensure that we have more opportunities for people to chat, just because of the we all know, dude. We all know. Just because of the
You see, that
nature
makes
of
no
being.
sense. You're replying to somebody that we can't see, and
Sorry about that.
Maybe I'm the only one that doesn't know what you're referring to because I'm not looking at the chat. And no, Kyle, you're not looking at the chat either, right?
I'm enjoying this.
Uh-huh,
I'm
uh-huh.
just sitting back and taking it all in. But I'm
And to-
sure if you said, well, if it was super important, Gila could say like what they just said and interrupt herself. But
Right.
that's not how she rolls. So she's actually attracting people to the chat because they want to know, and that's why they're
To
going to go there.
people listening
That's
to
what a
the-
moderator does.
People listening to the audio archive later, it wouldn't make sense to you either because you don't see it unless you watch it on YouTube. We have it set up so that it'll play back the chat in real time. But who knows how long YouTube's going to be around for?
Number one, you can watch the live chat back on the replay. But number two, there is a certain guessing game that I'm reasonably willing to bet that all of us play and all of our listeners play. And now in the chat, we're just getting to watch it happen. And that's what we're talking about. So, do we have a caller?
What do I do now? Oh,
We
take
do.
take the phone call. Is that-
And we'll just, if you know, you know,
If
what,
you know, you
what,
know.
what that's about. But we do have a caller, and it might not be who you think.
I just know that I don't really know myself. But let's see who's on the phone. Good evening. You're on Off the Hook Overtime. Go ahead. Well, you're right, Kyle. I have no idea who this is. They're very quiet, though. I'll say that. Is anybody there? The person not speaking. That's who I'm talking to. No. Maybe you have to ask them, Kyle.
Should we clean the cobwebs out of the phone line?
Is that what we have to do?
All right, I'll drop.
We're gonna drop
What
in,
we're
in
doing.
5 seconds.
Do you want to try to see if?
Oh, they're gone.
Yeah, that works. So,
So
when you
we have a
call,
phone line. Yeah. Okay. Maybe we didn't make that
Yeah.
clear. You have to actually say something. You can't just call the number. All right.
the phone can be the main channel or a back channel.
That's on us.
And
We
the
weren't-
chat
we
can be a
weren't-
main channel or a back channel.
Yeah, we
but
weren't clear about that. It's it's a conversation. That's what
The
it's supposed to
phone's
be.
more. It's well suited for voice, and chat is better for no voice.
You know what it might have been? The person might have called and then started looking at the chat window.
Oh, that's what
And
happens.
then they got all distracted by that and forgot that they called, or just put us on hold. You know, and that's what happens. People put us on hold. We have another call. All right, let's take this one. Good evening. You're on Off the Overtime.
Hi, I'm Daniel calling from St. Petersburg, Russia.
See, it appears that I was right, Kyle. It was Rebel. You thought it was going to be him. He always winds up being first no matter what. There was a caller before him, but somehow Rebel from Russia was able to silence him. Wow. Are you really in Russia?
Yes, and you know it's like totally light here. It's 3:00 in the morning, and it's light like as if it was like 8:00 in the morning.
Wow. Okay. Well, that proves you're in Russia then, because no one else would have figured that out. So tell us, how did you get there?
Well, all right. I got here the same way I got here last year. I went, through Turkey and came into Russia. But this time when I came, the immigration, the customs, they, how like they sometimes do like extra screening, like they screen you,
I'm familiar.
They ask you
Yes.
questions
Mhm.
and yeah. So they not only ask me questions like, how will you be here and how long you stay and where are you going and what city you're going to and all that. They asked you. They took down the serial number of my cell phone, and I wonder why that was.
Took down the serial number of your. Wow. How did they access that?
I gave them my phone, and they, I guess they asked for it, or I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, is there something that's written on your phone, or did they do something through the
Oh
phone
no,
network?
they do something. They just no, they just you can get the serial number of your phone by I guess going to certain settings and getting it that way.
Yeah, it's probably if old phones you would get like a printed label inside like under the battery, but now since a lot of them aren't removable, it would be like that in a settings screen about like system or about this phone, hardware, all the details about what versions of
So
software.
basically, Rebel, you had to unlock your phone for them. You had to enter your. I assume you have a password on your phone, right?
No, I don't actually.
You don't have a password on your phone. We found the last one. Wow. Okay.
Well, he's very open.
He's
and-
very trusting. I'll
and,
say that.
yeah,
That's what happens
that's
when you come from Queens,
just
man. Everyone's just so trusting there.
the kind of person you are. Yeah.
First he loses his bike, and now he walks around Russia with an unlocked phone. And unlocked not in the good way, but just no password. That's something. Okay, so now they are tracking you.
Yeah. Have there been any perks that come with this?
No, I mean I haven't. I actually get scolded once by by I guess a transit police person in the metro. They asked me for my passport and I didn't have it. I had it in the hotel. It was a hotel like a block away from, and they took me and said, took around my name and that I could get it. And they said, well, yeah, should have your passport on you. And
There are some countries where that is the law, where you have to carry your passport with you. But also, I think in Russia, they take your passport at the hotel. So that could leave you in a very uncomfortable quandary.
Well, they don't take my passport. They have this little piece of paper. I guess it's called. I don't know if it's called Prospitska in Russian. I guess it's an immigration card or something like that. And the hotel took a copy of that.
Okay.
And of course, they gave me my passport, and that back. So I now carry those two things with me when I'm here.
Hang on, Rebel. Gila has something to add. Go ahead.
Yes, we do have a question from the chat, which we're going to relate to Rebel, which is, why would any reasonable person choose to go to Russia right now?
This is Rebel we're talking
I
to.
went last year.
Wait, Rebel, that's not an answer. That just doubles the question. Why would you go twice?
Well, I went to Moscow last year, and I enjoyed it. And I'm in St. Petersburg, and it's it's enjoyable. But I don't know if I like Moscow better than St. Petersburg. I think Moscow is I don't know, maybe because I had such a good time in Moscow last year. I don't know.
Well, I mean, St. Petersburg is certainly a more attractive city than Moscow. You see that, right?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I guess
The buildings, the history. Oh my God, look around.
well, yeah, that's true. You know,
Go to the Peter the Great
Well,
Museum. Peter the Great Museum. He collected fetuses, and they're preserved. I'm not kidding. That's really what he did. And they named a city after him.
okay. Well, there are. Well, I guess Moscow's more modern because it had the modern buildings.
Oh yes, definitely
and-
more modern. Absolutely. How did you get to St. Petersburg from Turkey?
I flew on Turkish Airlines from there. I was going to go to Uzbekistan, but I didn't want to go on a plane for like 12 hours, and you know, and Uzbekistan didn't look that great. And you needed visa in advance to go to Uzbekistan and all that.
Would have been interesting for us though. You didn't think about that, did you?
Yeah, I would have liked to maybe go to Uzbekistan. It would have been interesting.
Maybe next time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, I'm looking out the window now, and it's very, the sun rose at like, I guess 2:30. I feel sorry. The people, I don't know how the people up like 1,000 miles north of here in Siberia do it. I mean, their sunrise is probably like 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, they're having a nonstop party. Believe me, the sun is out. Now, Rebel, are you feeling the effects of the smoke from Canada?
Not here. I'm
Wow.
feeling the effects of the White Nights.
Well, they have those in Canada too, but you hear that, folks? The smoke does not reach Russia. Only here. Wow. Okay, well, I learned something today.
Let's see. Yeah, so the White Nights, the 11 o'clock, it starts getting dark. More, it doesn't get dark till like maybe 11:30, and then like it's like at 2 a.m. or 2:30 a.m. it's light again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in some places it doesn't even get dark.
Interesting. Right, that would be interesting to experience.
I think Rob has a question for you. Go ahead, Rob.
I do, Rebel. So when they took your phone from you to take the serial number and stuff, was your phone in your line of sight the whole time, or did they take it off to the side
Oh yeah,
where they could have maybe
no,
like
they
put
didn't.
something on it?
No, I was. Well, they did it in front of me.
Okay.
All right.
So maybe verifying what might have already registered on the phone network, or just writing it down in case something comes up on the phone network, or in some place where they're getting everybody's phone number that was in some event or something.
Oh, the event was the plane landing, I would imagine. Now, did they do that to everybody on the plane as well, or just you?
No, just they only kept about maybe 5 or 6 other people that for extra screening, and one person was from the United Kingdom, and another U.S. person from Massachusetts.
It almost sounds like they were more suspicious of Westerners.
Maybe.
Interesting. Anything else you want to share about? First of all, how long are you staying?
Well, I got here last Thursday, and I'm here until Friday.
Okay, heading straight back.
Yep.
All right. You must get some strange looks from U.S. Customs when you arrive from Russia.
Last year I didn't.
Okay. I mean, I'd like to
Well,
think you can just travel wherever you want to go. That's, that's our right to be able to do that. But I wouldn't be lying if I said I thought it was quite dangerous to go there in this time. Have you met up with any kind of hostility, or do people just not know you're American, or did I just spill the beans by saying that?
No, I did. I mean, no. I mean, except for the thing with the transit. I guess with the version of transit police was telling me I should keep my passport on me, but I don't know why they're asking for a passport or in the metro. But
They do that. That's how it works in some countries. So you just have to follow their rules if you don't want to.
yeah, because I was kind of surprised that last year in Moscow I had no problems at all. But
Are you planning on visiting any? Are you going to be doing any touring? I mean, you don't have to say exactly what you're up to, but do you have any points of interest, or are you meeting up and getting some good food, or just seeing some sights with other people there, or looking forward to anything in particular?
Yeah, I mean, the other day I went to kind of a town near not Finland, but Estonia.
Okay.
And near Estonia is one of like 50 miles south of here, or southwest, I guess.
You could take a train to Helsinki, and then there's a ferry that goes to Tallinn, which.
Yeah, and I went to the town near the Finland border.
Uh-huh. Well, that's good.
Let's see, it was interesting to see the towns outside the cities, like outside St. Petersburg and.
Absolutely, and you see the transition in different, different states of development and what's going on and industry and all that. It's the best part, I think, of being able to relax on a train and pay attention to stuff.
Hey, Rebel, while you're in St. Petersburg, I don't know if it's still there, but when I was there, there's a cafe or a pub called the Idiot Pub. That's the name of it. It's after Dostoevsky's The Idiot, and it's a really cool place. So if that's still there, I recommend going there.
Okay, I went to a place called the Punk Brew, and that's on Rubenstein Street, which is one of the main restaurant and bar strips in St. Petersburg, and really interesting, like alternative people. You see a lot of people like. What you see on like St. Mark's Place, you see people on skateboards and bicycles. They ride bicycles on the sidewalk here. All sorts of like teenagers hanging out, and just like in the United States.
Yeah, that's how it is all around the world, and it's good that you see that. That's the positivity that can come out of a trip like this.
Right, and it's too bad there's no 2600 meeting in St. Petersburg. It's just a
I think there were before all the craziness started, but we do have them, I believe, in Moscow. I can look this up. I just looked up The Idiot, and that it does still exist. It's actually a vegetarian restaurant, but it's got a bar attached to it, I think.
Oh yeah, I was drinking, the Russian vodka. I have half of it left, and I don't know, what to do with that. I don't want to drink anymore.
You might have to. I don't think you can take it on the plane.
No, I'm not going to. Maybe I'll just leave it here. I don't know who would want. But...
Actually, I just looked it up. We don't have a meeting in Moscow or St. Petersburg. We have a meeting in Petrozavodsk. Yeah, so if you know where that is, that's where the Seoul 2600 meeting takes place in Russia. Hopefully we get the other cities back.
I don't know what maybe it's in the Moscow area or the St. Petersburg area.
Yeah, I mean that would be the place to have them. But between COVID and this war thing, it's been tough.
Yeah, I wish I could go to other cities like Kazan and Ufa and Grozny. It would probably be boring because.
Hop on the Trans-Siberian Express. You would actually like the Trans-Siberian Express. Just take it to Beijing.
I'm spending like 7 days on a train or 5 days.
Well, you can get off at various stops, and you can stay a day or two in those places. That's what I did. And if you buy the ticket in Russia, I think it's much cheaper.
Right.
But of course, you need to have a visa that will cover that amount of time.
Right. Yeah.
And he has a return flight to catch, so
that's true.
That's the next trip.
Right.
But it's good that you're breaking it up. You're seeing what you want to see, and you can't just have one trip and just have experienced all there is, especially in a country like that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And this white night thing is sure. It's like I feel like getting up now but it's like almost 3:30 in the morning, and I go to sleep sometimes in the middle of the day, and I wake up and go to dinner. And
yeah, time doesn't work the same way over there.
Right.
Well, any closing thoughts, Rebel? Because we don't want to keep you up too much longer.
Okay, yeah. I just noticed that somebody told me that there's a direct number to go to AT&T operator. It's the the AT&T operator number. It's in Florida. Shall I give out the phone number?
Is it in St. Petersburg, Florida? Because that would be kind of funny.
St. Peter. I don't know if it's St. Petersburg, Florida, or I think it's in Tampa. Or maybe,
You should
I
tell
don't know.
people you made a big mistake and you meant to go to Florida, and somehow you wound up in St. Petersburg, Russia, and see if anybody believes that. Hang on, Rob has a question for you. Hang on, Rebel. Go ahead, Rob.
I do, Rebel. I'm curious if you're into sharing this. What are you? How are you calling us? What have you finagled for a phone to make calls on?
Oh, actually, I use Google Voice.
Okay.
Which
I didn't know
is
that
the
still
thing
worked,
you know, you can. Yeah.
Yeah, I would
you
say
can
it's
use it as a,
definitely not a foreign number.
no, I use it. This is the Google Voice number, and this is the way is when you call from other countries. You know, if you have a Google Voice account, you call as if you're calling from the United States.
What?
If
How
I
did the
use my
number show up
regular-
on caller ID, Kyle?
Well, I don't want to reveal too much.
Just the first part.
Rebel, what do you want me to say? Like the city or the state?
Did it
What-
show up as
Well,
domestic?
It should be like a 201 area code number.
Correct.
Okay.
It's
Right. Right. You know.
Also, it showed up with using a phone number you already had.
Right.
Okay, got it.
So if I was to use my regular cell phone, you know, it would cost me 25 cents a minute.
Uh-huh. Which, used to be considered cheap compared to some of the rates that we used to have to deal with back in the day.
Right. Right. Like $5 for the first minute and like $1 each additional minute and all that.
That's right. Those were the days. All right, Rebel. So will you be there next week? No, you're leaving this later this week.
No, I'm leaving Friday. I'm leaving
Okay.
Friday, so I'll be here till on Wednesday. I'll call again from home.
Okay.
And I'll do the 2600 meeting in July.
That's right. Yes. Well, hopefully you'll have the traveling bug out of your system by then, and won't go to any more dangerous places.
Right.
Not that Russia is necessarily dangerous, and St. Petersburg certainly is one of the better places you could be, I think.
good on you for getting out and exploring, though.
Yeah.
And thanks for
Right.
reporting and letting us join you for this little bit of it.
Right. And now I don't want to go to sleep because it's like, well, when you were here, was it like this when you were here? Or you were in St. Petersburg?
Well, I
don't know
mean,
what
they
you're
had the
saying,
same. They had the same latitude. So, if I was there in the summertime, then it would have been light much later. And I think I was at one point. I'm pretty sure I was there it wasn't in the winter. I would have remembered that. So you adjust. They have thick curtains on the windows, and you just you have to acclimate.
Right. Let's see. Yeah, and it gets dark at 11 o'clock at night here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then it gets light again at 2 o'clock. We heard. Well, we're going to move on, and you should get some sleep.
All right.
All right. Be well.
Yeah.
Have fun.
Okay. Take care.
Bye. And that was Rebel joining us from St. Petersburg, Russia. If we believe him. I'm pretty sure he was there. It's the kind of thing he would do. So again, our phone number, 802-321-4225, 802-321-HACK, if anyone else out there wants to join the conversation or share some insight or experiences or things like that.
Yeah, and you can also relate messages to us, questions, comments, whatever, in the chat on our YouTube channel, channel 2600 on YouTube, where this is streaming live. Petrozavodsk, where our one Russian 2600 meeting currently is in the northwestern corner of Russia. It's the capital city of the Republic of Karelia, Russia, and the name of the city is the combination of the words Peter from Peter the Great and Zavod, meaning factory.
Well, that sounds like an interesting place. It's the St. Peter,
Yes.
St. Peter that St. Petersburg was named after.
Yep, the one and only. No, this is Peter the First, who was the Tsar of Russia in 1682.
Oh, different Peter.
Yes,
For Peter.
yes, not the saint, the Tsar.
But when you're talking about cities, every Tom, Dick, and Harry is named Peter.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody. These are the jokes. So also people are mentioning in the chat that yes, trying to see all of Russia on one trip would be kind of complex because there are 11 time zones in the country. People are pointing out that Russia itself is about twice as large as the United States. I'm feeling my position as the off the hook research department getting a little usurped here. And that's fine. We appreciate all of you. So should we give out the number again?
Sure.
Great.
And please, anyone out there on the phone, with a phone handy, you're welcome to use that. And of course, as we've mentioned, there's a chat on our YouTube stream, which is on channel 2600 on the YouTube platform. And if you have a story, something you saw that we missed, we'd love to hear that too. We can maybe talk about it another time when we're on the radio or back here. But thoughts, stories, stuff that you were amused by, or that might be something to take a look at in the future, we're really interested in what people have to say. You can also submit stuff too via email. That address is oth@2600.com.
Okay, I just learned the history of St. Petersburg, and I this is not my fault. Okay, I had always been under the impression that St. Petersburg was named after Peter the Great. And look at this line here from Wikipedia. On May the 1st, 1703, Peter the Great took both the Swedish fortress of a city I can't possibly pronounce and the city of Nien on the Nova River. Tsar Peter the Great founded the city of St. Petersburg on May 27, 1703, and named it after his patron saint, the Apostle St. Peter. So Peter the Great named it St. Petersburg.
Wait, scroll up for a sec.
Spell
Yes.
what?
Okay. No, I'm sorry. Rob also has this page open. So, Emperor of Russia, predecessor himself as Tsar of Russia, his successor as Tsar of Russia was himself. This is fascinating. But if you want to join in on this conversation about Peter the Great or anything else, feel free to give us a call at 802-321-HACK. That's 802-321-4225. And also, great thanks to our expanded Off the Hook research department. We appreciate you all. I don't feel usurped in the least.
Because St. Peter wasn't the one collecting fetuses. Peter the Great was doing that. I didn't want to imply that a saint was going around collecting fetuses and storing them in pickle jars.
So wait, was he just doing this by association? He's just like, yeah, I'm Peter, but there was this other Peter who was really good, so I'm going to be sort of, catch a little bit of, try to get some fame or some of that association and good thoughts because he had these crazy hobbies. Okay, well, you live and learn, right?
The new city's first building was the Peter and Paul Fortress. No sign of Mary. A lot
She
of
was
history.
leaving on a jet plane.
A
Clearly.
lot of history here. So much. Okay. Yeah, 802-321-4225. And I think we have a call. Do we have a call, Kyle? Okay.
We do, yes.
And good evening. You're on Off the Hook Overtime. Go ahead.
Hi, this is Johnny Fusion.
Hey, Johnny. How you doing?
Well, I'm out of the nursing facility.
Oh, that's good. Did you escape or were you released?
I was illegally dumped.
Oh, dear.
actually. The thing that nursing facilities do is they just get rid of you in a hurry, and they put me in a hotel for 30 days, and I'm struggling trying to find a place to land.
Wow. Okay, that's quite a story.
Yeah, and actually it leads me to what I wanted to talk about, because like one of the things I'm doing, because I don't have much money, is going on Craigslist and looking for rooms in small places to rent. And literally every single ad I answered turned out to be a scam.
Wow. How does the scam work?
So how the scam works, well, the first scam was someone just doing doing the verification code scam, trying to get into my Google account. Then I sent you a code, give me the code. Right? So it didn't fall for that. But
Wait,
the other
they
one,
they send you a code and you give them the code. How do they get access from that?
well, when you go, it's like it's a reset password code, or a
Oh.
gain access code, But I got two-factor authentication and stuff, so they couldn't get in. And
So they
what you
email
do-
they
so they
email
got-
Google and they say they forgot their password, and Google sends you a code, and then you tell them the code because you're fooled into thinking that the code came from them and not Google, and then they can get access to your account and you don't.
Yeah, so they had my phone number because I put my phone number in for text, and they actually went to my Google Voice and tried to gain access to my Google account through the Google Voice portal. But Google, everything is all tied together. So if you get into one Google application, you're in them all.
So what was the next one that you encountered?
So the next one, and I think it was like organized by like some organization doing the scam, or it was just the same person on different numbers because they use kind of like the similar script.
Yeah.
And what they do is they text you and they act like a landlord, right? And they talk about the room or the place, and they ask you questions. Do you have any evictions? So they try to sound like a legitimate landlord. And they say, okay, let's schedule a time for you to come see the place. But before you do, I want you to fill out this application and do a credit check, right? Now, so this is for everyone out there when you're looking for a place. You should never fill out an application before you see the place.
Mm-hmm.
There's no reason to pre-fill out an application before you see the place and agree to take it.
Right.
And what these forms do is they're used to do identity theft or get your credit card number, because of course there's a little fee for the background check or whatever they say, and they're not legitimate at all.
So what are your options as a, I don't know, after you get past all of this, and what kind of luck are you having, or what's your biggest obstacle in what you've found that might be suitable for temporary housing, or
Yeah, the biggest obstacle is because of all my health problem and issues that have gone on for years, I'm on the Social Security disability, right? And that forces me to live in sub-poverty,
yes,
right?
because
and so I'm priced out of most places. So I have to find, roommates or something. But I do have a fallback and I have a lead. So, I'm running out of time in the hotel. But the fallback is I'll stay with one of my partners, and they rent a room about an hour away from Stanford. So I got to stay close to my transplant center, right? And I could stay with them till I find more permanent placing. But basically, I don't like their kid.
Fair enough.
They're grown.
That's
They're grown, but and I don't like how the kid treats my partner and stuff like that. So, and they're loud, and so I can't stay there long just because it's just incompatible personalities, right? But any shelter in the storm.
Yep.
And I have another lead back up in the foothills near where I used to live before transplant, where an ex of mine may have a lead on a trailer that she'll put on the hookups next to her house, and I can have the trailer to rent for a small price. So hopefully I'll land somewhere and I'll be safe and I won't be out on the street.
I think Rob has a question for you.
Yeah. First of all, obviously, Johnny, we all wish you the best of luck in finding somewhere to crash and bettering your situation. But yeah, some people are mentioning in the YouTube chat that scams are rife on Craigslist right now, and that said, I've gotten apartments from Craigslist in the past, and it's done the job, it's worked. But even in the building where Gila and I are living right now, there were signs up in the building saying, if you're here from Craigslist, you've been scammed. We don't rent through Craigslist. We have a broker, and this is the contact info for them. But enough of it is going on where they've got to post a sign now like that.
Wait, well, who's that sign for? People who have already moved into an apartment that they don't have any right to, or they're in the
People-
hallway to read it.
Yeah, people who show up here thinking they're going to
hoping
see
to
an
see an
apartment or
apartment.
move into an apartment,
Uh-huh.
but are not because they're talking to someone who's not involved with renting this building out.
And they're like perhaps one of the people that had pre-filled out an application as was described.
Wow. You ever see anybody reading that sign saying, "Oh my God"?
I mean, we read it all the time, and now I'm curious if we can actually find our building on Craigslist.
You might, yeah.
Take a
Like
look.
these people could be anywhere. Like they could spoof a phone number, and they have the same script. Like there were slight variations, so it wasn't quite a bot. But and I only confronted one and saying like, I know this is a scam. I'm not gonna fall for it. And they got really upset and started sending me pictures of a place and trying to seem more legit.
This is so true to life though. Like people want something affordable. They want something to help with the situation, and you either do this or you try to go through some larger organization, and it really preys upon a huge need out there for options. Stuff
Yeah,
in
because
between.
these are all they're all low cost.
Oh, fully,
in
right?
my very
Yeah.
very meager budget of being on SSDI, but every single one was a scam. I'm sure there's legitimate listings out there, but they're all priced more per month than what Social Security pays me.
Yeah, and there are so many other situations that put people at the same income level, but it's this not to be excluded. This is such a practical circumstance, and the people are out there doing this. You just have to be super vigilant, and hopefully we can find some more resources as a society or just in the conversation. But definitely keep us updated. I want to make sure you're taken care of and you have options. But it's good that you're reaching out to family and friends that can at least backstop you
friends
for
mostly.
another short period.
Yeah, friends mostly. I'm estranged from most of my family, but they're conservative and boomers.
I meant that in the
So-
most in a very broad sense, family
Yeah,
Chosen
my
family.
chosen indeed, yes.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, but
Us included here.
yeah,
We're just
So, did you guys cover the story about the lawyer that used ChatGPT for a brief?
It was
And it
on
had
our
the-
list, but we didn't get to it. But yeah, we heard about that. That's another inevitable thing. But what was your take on it?
I thought it was, well, again, it's people misunderstand. Like we've talked about this in past weeks about how ChatGPT and other large language models will just string stuff together that seems plausible that has no basis in reality.
That's right.
And it's like, and people are using these tools out of ignorance. I think people have gotten used. I think it started actually back in the 50s. Like when you see something on a screen, you just assume it's true. Like Walter Cronkite wouldn't lie to you.
No.
well that
Right.
I fully agree. No, you're onto this. I was kind of broaching it a little bit earlier when we were talking about just the trustworthiness of the media and how, well, if money rules, like lots of people there's lots of people with money, but having money and like journalistic integrity doesn't all that's
often rare, especially in
Yeah.
to buy up
And
papers and industries and pantomime like a media organization and stuff it with fake or, like in this instance, automated stuff is trivial. Like, people
Yeah.
spend money on stupid, wrong-headed things all the time, and there are plenty of bad actors with the means willing to do this, and maybe historically who already have, and we're experiencing the effects of it. I mean,
Yeah,
one of the
I mean,
things.
well, like even back in the way olden days in print media, like Hearst and
Yeah.
yellow journalism and all that stuff.
Right.
It goes way back.
Well, I think it's the democratization, like the cost, the means of production is cheaper. You no longer have to have like $100,000 TV camera on your shoulder to go out and create content. I mean, the content itself has been cheapened. A lot of these places, because they have been defunded in a lot of ways, are running leaner newsrooms and so forth. So they're not producing at a level that had the stamp of approval, the trustworthiness behind it. In the 50s, it took means to produce that. So the interests were few that were doing it, and they had a mandate to inform the audience in that they were the only show in town. So it's changed throughout
Yeah.
history. Now it's like, oh, we're all citizen journalists. Well, we can all fake that too. And I mean, the means of production itself are so incredibly cheap now that it bears, I mean, to have to have that impression that anything coming through a screen is valid is something that I think is being exploited here. And I think something I felt for a long time, and I think we're starting to see how bad it can go, is the similarities with in a machine learning or an artificial intelligence. I think capitalism itself can be that without human intervention. You have like these entities that are just operating, mindlessly from board to board, from buyout to M&A to becoming just part of a huge portfolio in these investment and other vehicles that all of a sudden, yeah, they're a large media organization, but their whole existence is money. I mean, this is the concept of media consolidation and its ill effect in being demonstrated en masse.
Well, anyway,
Yeah.
this particular case, I just wanted to update people on it, involved a lawyer named Stephen Schwartz from the firm Levidow and Oberman. His whole career of several decades is now in jeopardy. He was the lawyer for a guy named Roberto Mata, who was suing an airline, Avianca Airlines, after a serving cart injured his knee during a flight. Now, Avianca was attempting to dismiss the case, get the case dismissed. And what his lawyer, Stephen Schwartz, did was use ChatGPT to come up with similar cases. And ChatGPT was very helpful at giving names of the cases. Varghese versus China Southern Airlines, Shaboon versus Egypt Air, Peterson versus Iran Air. Many of you might remember that one. Martinez versus Delta Airlines, Estate of Durden versus KLM, Royal Dutch Airlines, and finally, of course, Miller versus United Airlines. Not one of those cases actually existed. It's very similar to the movie that ChatGPT made up. No, actually, it was Bard that made up the movie for us. So what this guy did was he relied on ChatGPT to help out, which is a good thing to do, but he didn't double check. And had he done that, he would have realized it was all fiction. Yes, Rob.
Yes, not only did this lawyer rely on basically autocomplete to write his legal filing for him, but in a strange coincidence, the judge presiding over this case is Judge P. Kevin Castell, who was Virgil Griffith's judge presiding over his case.
Oh, he's a hard ass.
in the U.S. District. Yeah,
he's
Court.
always in a bad mood. I can tell you that.
So this is him dealing with that. So knowing what you know about that judge and having him have to deal with this, I'm sure he is not thinking kindly of this lawyer right now.
No. By the way, I just got an alert sent to one of our phone lines here about air quality. We talked about it in the last hour, but they have this scale. If you want to look at something interesting, there's a website, waqi.info. AQI means Air Quality Index, and there's basically it goes from, I think, 0 to 500. Where you are right now, Rob, in Queens, it's about 328, and there's parts of Long Island that are similar, 325. There's 6 different categories. There's good, there's moderate, there's unhealthy for sensitive groups, there's unhealthy, there's very unhealthy, and then there's the one that we're at right now, which is hazardous. And what that means is everyone may experience more serious health effects. So if you're in the area, the tri-state area, it's a good idea not to go out. If you do go out, wear a damn mask, because I imagine there's people out there saying, "Oh, if I wear a mask, people are going to think I'm afraid of COVID." And you know what? Let them think whatever they want to think. And you should be afraid of COVID anyway. But the point is, right now, you should be afraid of what's in the air and avoid that however possible. It's the highest possible ranking. I never thought I'd see something like this. They say New York City today had the worst air pollution since the 1960s, which, is kind of affirming that, wow, okay, so we've come that far that it took us this long to descend into that level of pollution. But it's also something that's happening right now. So we have to take it seriously, be careful, and especially if you have asthma or any kind of lung issues, stay out of the outside.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that website used to be that website used to be my friend when I still had lung disease with my original lungs.
Well, if you're looking to get lung disease, this might be the way to do it.
Yeah, no, I don't want to go through that again. I mean, actually, I had good news. I did see my immunology team, and my underlying autoimmune illness is in complete remission.
Awesome.
Whoa.
Fantastic.
That is wonderful.
Outstanding. That's such good news.
Yeah.
Rob, you had something else?
Yeah, no, I was just going to say I've been using the site airnow.gov, which I mentioned on our radio hour, which is basically the same thing. It's put up by the EPA. The same scale, the same totals and everything. And you can look up any location in the country.
And all kinds of different pollutants and different air quality things. And I'm glad that we're getting this service from the EPA, because I have harbored a mistrust of the EPA since 1984, and I'm glad that they're doing some good in the world.
Yes, and why have you mistrusted the EPA since 1984?
Ghostbusters.
Wow, okay. Well, it comes out now.
I wanted to skip back to trusting screens.
Yeah.
So I had another point on
Sure.
that. People trust software, especially.
Yeah.
Because they're not used to computers lying to them. If you're using an application and it gives you an error message or an alert of some kind, that really happens, and you have to take action. Well, usually, like when I was in high school and hacking, we would create false computer messages for, because people trust computers and compromise things that way. I mean, the statute of limitations, that was 35 years ago or more. So I'm not worried about statute of limitations. But we would use this trust for what you see on a computer screen generated by software to give false messages. And, there was one thing we could do on a VAX system is we could hijack the login script. We had this other script that looked like the login script. This is on VMS. It was a script that looked like a login script, and so you put in your username and your password. And the original version of this just said wrong password and dumped you to the real login while it collected passwords. But then my best friend made an improvement to it where it actually called the login function with what they put in, so it was seamless.
Cool. So revised it and improved it.
Yeah, You know, 'cause it's an old attack. I mean, this is from the 80s and stuff. You know, so that, you know, we didn't invent this attack, but he did put in the little elegance of having it actually call the actual login service and attempting the password and returning the error if it actually was wrong and not recording the password or just logging them in
Right.
and recording the password.
By the way, I just looked up St. Petersburg, Russia, and their air quality is 23. it's as good as it could be in St. Petersburg. So maybe Rebel has the right idea.
Maybe he does. Yeah, another one we did was we put in on a DOS machine at our high school for a computer we didn't want other people using because we had our shit on there. When it, on the auto exec bat, it put up the message, operating system not found, insert any key, or insert a disk to reboot. And we used some ANSI, remember ANSI codes, to make the prompt black, so the prompt was invisible, black on black. So it looked like, oh, there's no operating system on this hard drive. But you just press any key and it just boots up regularly.
And which one is the any key?
Went in and we found a DOS floppy disk in the floppy drive because the teacher had tried to use the computer and believed it. I didn't press any keys or anything, just believed it and got a floppy disk to boot off the floppy.
And start over. That's brilliant. Yeah. It's believing machines. I mean, I think the social engineering, same thing. You know, creating a situation that's technical that you need someone to react in a way that they're not actually anticipating, and that's how you get.
Yeah, and these scams are just a form of social engineering too, because they
Mhm.
go through the whole script, like
Yeah.
asking you what's your, like, this is the rent, this is where it's located. Do you have any evictions on your record or landlord judgments? What else do they
Formulaic.
say?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, trying to come off like a real landlord, and really they send you to this fake website that steals your identity and credit card. Probably charges your credit card too.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sinister. So sinister.
All right, we're gonna move on.
Yeah, we
Okay.
are ready to.
Thanks for taking my call.
Of course, yes, and best of luck to you.
Thank you. Hopefully by next time I call, I'm situated in a place.
Yeah, best of luck with the search, and make sure you get some rest as well. Don't get too stressed out over it. And it's a minor thing in the moment, but it's huge as far as, you know, comfort and your ability to stay healthy and so forth. So definitely take care, and we're hoping for a good outcome there.
Thank you very much, everyone.
All right, be well.
May the force be with you.
Back at you, Johnny Fusion.
Good.
Emmanuel, we actually have a question for you from the YouTube chat. Question is, what year did Emmanuel start with WBAI? I'm listening to some of the old shows from the 90s. It was kind of interesting hearing him reference political events happening around then.
1988 was actually the first time I was given a show. It was a special edition of Off the Hook. And I think that was the first year I walked in. I'm pretty sure I walked in early 1988. Might have been 87, but I think it was 88. And I started doing work in the news department, and then eventually just started doing. I was engineering too at the same time, and moved my way up. So it was pretty awesome.
I'd like to just comment on the listening back to old programs and that that sensation you get when you hear older stuff and you're listening to it with current day politics or social phenomena. It is a really an interesting way to experience both the past in the present and hear how things come back around. I've told this story a couple times, but I would listen because I would donate it to the station. I would get sometimes premiums were offered to get memberships and the old programs were like a thank you gift. So listening to those and going back, I think I was doing jobs and basically had some free time, so I'd have it in the background, and I did it while listening to the current programs. And when you go in sequence, there's a certain strange thing that happens after a while. What the programs are about start having a weird synchronicity. Either it's coincidence or it's the fact that there are certain constants and things that come up over and over again. But if you get into a good listening cycle of the old programs that are hosted on 2600.com, especially OTH or even Voice of Long Island and all of those, it's really fascinating because the things that are referenced in the past, in the 80s and the 90s and so forth, they are still speaking to us today. And I encourage people to have a lot of fun with that if you have the time to do that and are listening for it, because it's a cool sensation. I know exactly what they're referring to.
Go ahead, Gayla.
And actually, as far as that goes, I just went to the Off the Hook archive on 2600.com and took a look back at the very first show. And I'm realizing that you could have some sort of 35th anniversary extravaganza event at Coney Island Maker Faire, because after the fire, the first episode of Off the Hook aired on October 7th, 1988, and the 35th anniversary will hit during Coney Island Maker Faire this
Wow.
October.
Okay, well, I guess I've just been roped into doing some kind of special from there. But yeah, that's something. Wow, time sure flies.
Mm-hmm.
Dunk tank, right? Yeah. No, I'm kidding.
Well, it's funny because that first show was supposed to be on in the afternoon. I think it was in July. And there was a fire in the Empire State Building where our transmitter was, and every station that used the Empire State Building was knocked off the air literally 2 minutes before my show was going to go on. I was so nervous. The first time ever Off the Hook would have been on the air in the afternoon. And they said, yeah, sorry, that's tough luck. We'll try to reschedule you. And it took until October before another slot opened up, and that was late at night. And actually, that turned out to be much better because it was able to be expanded from the initial 1 hour. It turned into this big teleconference that our 10-line phone was able to accommodate that nobody else at the station had ever done before. So a little bit of history was made there. But it was just so ironic sitting in the control room on that July afternoon, realizing that of all the radio stations that were knocked off the air, I was probably the only person doing an actual radio program. Everything else was just playing music and the usual format, and they had staff that would be on later the same day or the next day. I was the only one that was really screwed, though. I've never finished processing that, and it's just it angers me to this day. I don't know what the cause of the fire was, but boy, it was well timed. But again, it all worked out.
It's amazing what the priorities are when you're behind the scenes, when you're producing something. You just want to get what you have to say. You want it to come off, sound good, make it a great conversation. And there's always so much going on with whatever the case.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that was one of the fires I had nothing to do with in 1988.
Let's hope so. Let's hope so. All right, we're gonna call it a night, I think.
Should we shut this thing down or
Yeah, let's
wait
shut it
another
down.
minute?
No,
Are we doing it exactly at 9?
Yeah, I'm in favor of doing it at 9. Yes.
Yes.
Wow.
So it was a pleasure. We haven't been on in 3 weeks, so good to see everybody again. And
Absolutely.
Nice to be back. And again, thank you to our currently 24 active YouTube watchers, many of whom have been active in the chat. Thank you so much for participating with us this evening. Again, nice to be able to have these auxiliary discussions going on in the chat, people on the phone, people on the show. It all works very nicely, dovetailing together, working out the wrinkles. I think this is a good thing for all of us.
Well, thank you very much for doing the moderation, and hopefully it wasn't too stressful.
This was great.
All right.
This was great.
All right, write to us, OTH at 2600.com. We will see you again next week. Good night.